What's up, everybody? Damon here, back with IGN's E3 live show, streaming at you live on e3.ign.com, IGN's Xbox Live app, and youtube.com/E3. And speaking of YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our two main YouTube channels, IGN and Start. Right now on the show, we're going to take a look at Space Action Horror Fest Dead Space 3.
As I live and breathe, it's my good friend Steve. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm very happy. Dead Space 3, alive and well. Lots of rumors if it was coming, if it wasn't. Here we are, exciting times. Now, Dead Space 2, spoilers out there in the world. Dead Space 2, leaves Isaac and Ellie in a very precarious situation. Where do we pick up with Dead Space 3?
Well, Greg, Dead Space 3 picks up where Isaac is kind of on the lam. He's laying low. Again, not wanting to give a bunch of spoilers, there were some things that happened at the end of Dead Space 2 that he's kind of laying low.
Yeah, he screwed up the sprawl pretty bad.
He did. He did some
That's
destruction.
government property.
He did, exactly. So he's kind of on the lam, laying low in a secret location that we'll reveal later, and kind of gets swept into a series of events that have him on the lookout for Ellie. He's actually trying to find her, and that's kind of how things kick off.
Okay, the big announcement obviously out of E3, other than the fact the game really does exist, co-op is a big part of it this time around. Why did you want to go co-op? I mean, Dead Space has been this, I'm all alone in tight corridors, and oh my God, that baby's talking to me.
Yeah, so I couldn't be more excited and happy with where we're going with co-op.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to make sure people really understand is co-op is totally optional. So if you're playing single player, there is no AI follower, you're just Isaac. It's like the Dead Space everybody's kind of come to expect. Co-op is just like a secret special bonus for those that want to be able to play with their friends. So like you and I could play.
Because we're friends.
And when you do play, you actually get additional information about John Carver, our new co-op character. So he's in the single player story, but he has a more relevant role when you play co-op, and you get to see some details about him, some cutscenes change, and actually some side missions open up that you wouldn't get in single player. So there's kind of a reason to go back and play it with a friend.
Now, see, this is all really interesting, right? Because Dead Space 2, the reason I loved it so much and wrote a middle school review for it, is the fact, of course, that, it was this personal tale and I was Isaac and I was lost in my head and all these things. So how did you guys make such an awesome story for Dead Space 2? Now you're writing a story, I guess, that has two ways it can go. It's not branching, so to speak, but every scene has to have a different option if I'm alone or together, right?
That's right, Greg, and we took a lot of care to make sure that we created, one, a super compelling narrative that answers questions, because our fans really want to know, hey, how do these markers work? What's going on with the markers, the necromorphs, the unitologists? So Dead Space 3 is about answering questions.
Okay.
But you're right on the mark in terms of the challenge to create a single-player narrative that holds together and is really compelling, and then bringing in co-op. So I don't want to ruin it. We're actually demonstrating it at our booth, the way it works, and I think that's the best way for people to see it. And I think next week people are going to get to see a little bit more about that. But really what it is it's about making sure that we have sections of the game that are divergent in a way where it makes sense that Carver is not with Isaac.
Gotcha. Okay, now I'll make this prediction on E3. I haven't played the game. I have only seen the stuff. This John guy, figment of Isaac's imagination, doesn't really exist. Spoilers. We'll see if I'm right in 2 years. But more importantly, what were some of the lessons you took from Dead Space 2 multiplayer to apply to this co-op one?
Well, the big thing with Dead Space 2's multiplayer, at Visceral, we hadn't done a competitive multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And what that really afforded us with was an opportunity to kind of get our legs under us in terms of making an online game. So that really gave us the infrastructure that allowed us to now jump into co-op. So one of the things that is really exciting for me, and hopefully our players are going to see, is that we're able to deliver a co-op game that still looks fantastic, and we're pushing even more visually than we've done in the past. So you'll see some new effects. Bouquet is one of the things that we brought in terms of a lighting effect, a VFX.
Yeah.
And we've actually smoothed out the way the characters look. So anti-aliasing's in the game now. So we've done a lot in terms of enhancing the visuals, but we've done that with being able to draw two characters on the screen at the same time. So it's kind of a big deal. The team's done a phenomenal job, and can't wait to hear what people think of that.
Now you talk about, the game looks better, anti-aliasing, a bunch of stuff, the bookworms like. But what is interesting about this one, right, is that it's got a totally different visual style from what we've seen. We're used to spaceships and dank corridors, and so far we've seen this ice planet and stuff. How are you guys pushing, the visual flair, I guess, for Dead Space 3?
Well, Greg.
Well, Steve.
I'm glad you asked that question. So check it out. Dead Space 3 takes place in a variety of locations. What we're choosing to show right now at E3 and at the press conference is the new stuff.
Yeah.
We want to make sure people say, hey, there's new stuff in Dead Space 3 because we're trying to evolve, we're keeping it fresh. For people that are concerned, we're still going to have this really awesome zero-G areas that people have come to expect. As a matter of fact, we've got even more than we've had in the past. We've got an entire flotilla that is above Tal Volantis, where Isaac and Carver will be able to explore. And we've also got a bunch of ships in the flotilla that you'll be able to check out. You know what that means?
I know what a ship is.
Yeah, you heard of them? They're ships. We're going to have that corridor gameplay, that more claustrophobic feel. So you're, again, it's an evolution of what we've done, and you're going to not only have the tight corridors, really tight, scary spaces that people have come to expect, but we're also going to make sure that we have the planet where it's more expansive, and the low visibility and snow actually gives us opportunities to really scare people.
Oh, yeah.
Just imagine necromorphs popping out of the snow, not being able to see what's ahead of you, and things are lurking out of the mist. It's really going to be fun, and like I said, there's just a bunch of different locations.
You keep talking about necromorphs. The other reveal that we've seen is more the unitologists, more humanized people. I guess humanized, just being humans, human beings walking at you.
Yes.
Why did you want to put those kind of guys in there?
Well, so with Dead Space Extraction, we had a little flavor with humans at the beginning when things went bad on Aegis 7.
Yeah.
In Dead Space 3, for us, everything comes and is driven from our narrative. And at this point of the story, it was time for Isaac to face down with some living unitologists. So not giving away a lot about the story, let's just say that there's a reason why they're kind of coming to heads.
Yeah.
And at this point, Isaac can actually kind of take it to them instead of just being kind of screwed over by them, continually throughout the experience.
These unitologists have been given a free ride. I'm glad it's over. When can I look forward to blasting people in the face and saying, enough with your fake religion?
So the game is coming out February 2013.
All right, great. Steve, thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg.
Damon, back to you and that sexy haircut.
Thanks for that look at Dead Space 3, gentlemen. Coming up next, Call of Duty is hitting the future with mechs, drones, and horses. Black Ops 2 coming at you.